Part 2, Uncovered. This is part 2 in a 3-part series diving into Lori's psychological profile, the deaths connected to her, and a timeline reconstruction of what happened to Lori's children, JJ and Tylee. The death web. The first thing that caught my attention when reading about this case was the number of people in connection to Lori that have mysteriously died, all in a short amount of time. It's one thing for someone to say they have bad luck, it's another thing to say that there's been a lot of death in their family. However, it's a completely different ballgame when an ex-husband, a husband, 2 children, a lover's wife, and a brother all die nearly back to back, in that order. Am I saying that Lori personally killed all 6 of these individuals? No. Is it possible that Lori played some role in masterminding or orchestrating at least 2 of these deaths? A jury will soon decide. To better understand the heartbreaking events that transpired throughout September 2019 resulting in JJ and Tylee having their lives taken, we must first untangle all of the intricate relationships Lori had with the people that died around her. Below is a chronological list detailing all 6 individuals' deaths. Joseph Ryan, Lori's 3rd ex-husband. Joseph dies under mysterious circumstances on April 3, 2018. Joseph Joe Ryan's body was found in his Maricopa County, Arizona apartment by a neighbor's dog that kept alerting its owner about a strange smell, even though the cause of death was conclusively ruled as a heart attack. Investigators reopened his case after his family released an audio recording of Lori Vallow speaking to a religious group about her custody fights with him. "I was going to murder him," Lori can be heard saying in the recording, referring to Joseph Ryan. "I was going to kill him like the scriptures say."
It's been a long journey. I had a changing point in your life, right? You're a member of the church your whole life. I always loved the Lord. There's a turning point in my life that turned me to the temple. And this is what I teach everybody. And my change of heart was to the temple. So I had been married to someone who was very awful, who raped my children. And I had divorced him and gotten away from him, and he had joined the church. He spoke in state conference. Everyone thought he was wonderful. He was very good showman of all those things. And after we were divorced, he told everybody that I was this lying, crazy Mormon, and got up in court and said all these horrible things about me, and turned it around to where the judges believed him instead of me. And he was constantly trying to get custody of my 3-year-old daughter, and just to rub it in my face. And I went through a lot of years of this kind of hard stuff, and I was going to murder him. I was going to kill him, like the scriptures say, like Nephi killed him, just to stop the pain and to stop him coming after me and to stop him coming after my children. And I just felt I couldn't take it anymore. And I would go through the scriptures and find all the things, like if he comes against you once, if he comes against you twice, if he comes against you 3 times, then you can kill him. It says it in the scriptures in the Book of Mormon. I was like, there it is, there's my answer. I don't want to do anything that's wrong. I did not have a murderous heart. I just wanted to stop the bleeding and stop the pain. And so someone wise was speaking to me and said, "You need to go to the temple." So I went and met my bishop, and I was like, I'm either going to turn my life to the temple or I'm going to commit murder. So do you want to give me a temple recommend? And I was perfectly honest, because at that point I had nothing to lose. You get to the bottom rung and I had nothing to lose. And he gave me my temple recommend. And I started going to the temple every week by myself, not with my current husband, just by myself, to the temple, to the Mesa Temple, which I love.
We also know that the couple had a tumultuous past, shining a light on a possible motive and a common violent thread. Alex Cox. In 2006, Joseph filed a motion against Lori, saying he had been denied visitation rights with his daughter Tylee. This dispute led to Alex Cox threatening and assaulting Joe with a stun gun in a parking lot. Alex was charged with the crime and ultimately spent 3 months in jail for the brutal attack. Charles Vallow, Lori's 4th ex-husband. Alex Cox shoots Charles twice on July 11, 2019. Despite all accounts of a long and happy marriage, warning signs and red flags that friends saw in 2018 quickly began to manifest into reality. Lori's religious beliefs about zombies, possession, and the end of the world, and her behavior around JJ and Tylee became too much. Charles saw no way out of the situation other than to file for divorce and alert the police to Lori's thoughts. Also fearing for his safety based on constant life-threatening claims that Lori would make against him, Charles also filed for an order of protection against Lori on February 4, 2019. Charles also tells his attorneys, "I want to make sure that everyone knows that if something happens to me, Lori and Alex did it." It's as if Charles is speaking from beyond the grave. And, as aforementioned in Part 1, Lori openly told friends, particularly Melanie Gibb, that she believed Charles would be killed in a car accident just in time for her to marry Chad before the end of the world. But, as time passed and Charles didn't die at the hands of the universe, Lori orchestrated his death for him, and transferred $35,000 out of their bank account into hers just before his death. On the evening of July 10, Lori invites Alex Cox to stay overnight with Charles and the children at their house. The following morning, Alex and Charles get into a premeditated argument, where Alex eventually shoots Charles 2 times in the chest at point-blank range. When the police and paramedics arrive 43 minutes later, Charles is dead, and Alex says he acted in self-defense because Charles allegedly charged Lori with a baseball bat. Alex is never held accountable for the homicide, and Lori openly says how angry she is over not receiving his life insurance money. Tylee Ryan, Lori's daughter with Joseph Ryan, killed sometime early Sept. 2019. Tylee vanished in early September of 2019. She was last seen alive with her family in Yellowstone National Park. Soon after disappearing, Lori told friends and family that Tylee was studying at a nearby university. This was never the case, and Tylee's body was found buried in Chad Daybell's backyard in June of this year. JJ Vallow, Lori's adopted son with Charles Vallow, killed sometime late September 2019. JJ went missing in late September 2019, only 2 weeks after his sister. According to detectives, he was last seen alive by a verifiable source on September 23 at Kennedy Elementary School. The following day, JJ's school records were pulled, and Lori said she was going to homeschool him. This was also never the case, and JJ's body was found buried in Chad Daybell's backyard in June of this year. Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell's former wife. She dies under mysterious circumstances on October 19, 2019. Tammy reportedly goes to bed on the night of October 18, having a coughing fit. The next morning, she's found dead, and the coroner examines her body, but the Daybell family doesn't request an autopsy. Tammy's death was initially ruled to be from natural causes. Her death shocked many, but not because of its sudden tragedy. It was shocking because many friends in the LDS cult knew it would happen, but didn't believe Chad and Lori would go through with it. Julie Rowe, an author who published several books with Chad, spoke to Inside Edition, saying, 3 weeks before Tammy dies, Chad said to me, and he was in this frustrated voice, "My plan can't move forward until Tammy's dead, or until Tammy dies," referring to his life plan, or the plan that God had for him.
3 weeks before Tammy dies, he said to me, and he was kind of in this frustrated voice, "My plan can't move forward until Tammy's dead."
Lori also reportedly spoke openly about the life she would have with Chad once Tammy died. In December 2019, the Fremont County Sheriff's Office began calling Tammy Daybell's death suspicious. Her body was exhumed, and an autopsy was performed. The results are not publicly released, but the Daybell children were told she had been asphyxiated. It's important to note that the Daybell children don't believe their father had anything to do with the death of their mother or JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Alex Cox, Lori's brother, who dies on December 12, 2019. Alex Cox, 51, was found in his Rexburg, Idaho apartment, already deceased in this bathroom. An autopsy completed in May 2020 concluded that a pulmonary blood clot caused his death. His full autopsy report can be found here. His autopsy and toxicology reports weren't unusual. But many question how a man tangled up so tightly in this case could die out of sheer coincidence, especially since Alex had a direct hand in a few of the earlier deaths. Explore Part 3 in this 3-part series, Crime Scene Reconstruction. Go back to Part 1 in this 3-part series. Andrea Cipriano is the digital content specialist at Uncovered, where she writes for the twice-weekly true crime newsletter, The Citizen Detective. Andrea graduated with a Master of Arts in Forensic Psychology from John Jay College of Criminal Justice, where she focused on researching and peeling back the criminal mind. Andrea believes that it's never too late for justice. Uncovered is building a community around collective impact for cold cases and supporting further education to develop citizen detective skills.